Welcome to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast, where we help you in the LGBTQ plus community find a safe and affordable retirement place. Join Mark Goldstein as he interviews others who live in gay-friendly places around the globe. Learn about the climate, cost of living, healthcare, crime and safety, and more. Now, here's your host, Mark Goldstein.
We're at the moment you've been all waiting for again, our refresh on Ajijic, Mexico, Lake Chapala. Today we have our guests, Steve Cross and Harold Watts. We'll tell you a little bit about each of these gentlemen, or should I say gentlemen? And not sure about that. But anyway, let's start off with Steve. Steve Cross was born and raised in Northern Ireland, but knew from early teens he would not stay there due to the oppression of the gay community at the time. He left to see the world on cruise ships. He's cruising in 1992 and discovered Puerto Vallarta through visiting the ports. In 2004, he left the ships and settled in Puerto Vallarta and started to sell real estate there. In 2004, he and his now deceased husband decided to move to Ajijic in the Lake Chapala area of Mexico, where the climate is just about perfect year-round. Originally, he opened up a bed and breakfast and combined that with real estate, but on the death of his husband, 5 years, has focused totally on real estate. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we'll introduce you to Harold. Harold Watts was born and raised in San Diego, California. In 1983, he moved to the San Francisco Bay Area to attend Sonoma University. During his years in San Francisco, he worked companies such as Stroud's, Linens, Macy's, and Williams-Sonoma. In 1999, Harold made the decision to move to Palm Springs, California, and start his real estate career. Another Palm Springs person. All right. In 2004, he met his future husband, Jeff, and they've been together 18 years and married 8 years. It's probably a little bit different now.
Yeah, it'll be more. 10 years. 10 years in December that we'll be married.
Okay. I was reading the last bio.
Yeah, I know.
The decision to retire to Mexico has always been in the works, but COVID-19 sped up the process for Harold. When the world was shutting down, he and Jeff decided to lock down in Ajijic, Mexico, where they had a home, and they never looked back. A year later, Harold and Jeff purchased a building with 3 studio rooms and a restaurant. They leased the restaurant space to the former owner, and Harold renovated the 3 studio rooms for vacation rentals. When Harold is not working on his vacation rental business, he is involved in giving back to the community via local charities. Welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
Gentlemen. I say that again, gentlemen.
Yeah, I use the word gentleman very loosely.
Well, I sound completely boring compared to Harold.
Well, no, you boring. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, so
your shoes are boring.
But yeah,
I should say
because
hola.
I'm so much younger, I haven't lived as much.
I should say hola, buenos tardes. I learned that when I was in Mexico last week.
Buenas tardes.
Tardes.
Got to roll your R's, Mark.
Tardes. Is that good? Steve. Okay. Back to the podcast. So we're gonna learn and get updates on what's going on in Ajijic and Lake Chapala. A lot has happened since 2 years that we interviewed these gentlemen. So let's start off with climate and climate consistency. Before we even get to that, for our new listeners, can you tell us where in Mexico Lake Chapala and Ajijic is, Harold?
Okay. Lake Chapala and Ajijic is about a 30-minute drive from the Guadalajara airport. We are just south of the Guadalajara airport. And elevation-wise, we're right on target of, I would say, mile high. So in comparison to Denver, Colorado is our altitude. Okay. So it's a short distance to Guadalajara proper.
So with that altitude, I'm kind of thinking that it's kind of a dry climate.
Well, again, here you've got very mild weather most of the year. The rainy season starts in June and usually ends by the end of October. The hottest month is typically May, but it's been known in the past that April can get a little warm.
Okay. All right. Is it humid? Is it humid or dry?
Well, most of it's dry, but when it rains, my hair
humid.
frizzes out, so
mine
it gets
too.
humid.
Mine too.
Yeah, mine and yours, Steve. All right. Let's talk about climate consistency. Ajijic is famously pleasant weather year-round. Have you noticed any changes in Ajijic's climate over the past few years, possibly from climate change? Is it still that Goldilocks climate, or are there subtle shifts? Steve, why don't you take that?
We had earlier this year, we did have about 6 weeks that were like in the maybe 95 to 97 degrees, which is unusual for us.
That's unusually hot.
Yeah, of course, everyone's buying mini splits and air conditioning and so on, but that's kind of unusual. We did have a hotter spell the year before as well, but not as hot and not as long.
Okay.
As what we had this year.
Okay, so it seems like climate change is affecting everybody, including...
well, Harold and I both live up in the mountain. And I know for me personally, the breeze was perfect. I mean, I only had my air conditioning in the bedroom going for maybe 30 minutes before I went into bed. But the rest of the house was fine.
So do most people don't have air conditioning in Ajijic?
It's...
Or is it a...
50-50?
I guess the U.S. 50, people...
Yeah, 50-50. Yeah, because many of the homes that are here don't have air conditioning. In my house, which is a fairly large house, the only air conditioning that I had was in the kitchen and in the master bedroom. It wasn't until this year when I remodeled my guest rooms that I put in the mini splits because of the hot temperatures this past year. I just opted to do it, but many places do not have them. Yeah, but I'm seeing this past year, many more people are putting them in.
I'm kind of curious. What's both of your square footage?
Mine's 4,300 construction and 10,500 of land.
Yeah, mine's bigger.
Show off.
No, I'm looking across the table, and his is not bigger.
Harold, how much you have?
I have your little dog here.
Oh, that's right. He has my dog on his knee as ransom.
My house is a little over 6,000 square feet. And then we built a building right next to our house, which houses 2 apartments. And that's about 7,000 square feet total. And land is about 17,000 square feet of land up on the hillside.
You're a size queen.
Mm-hmm. That was me, by the way, not Harold.
Yeah. It was chumpy.
All right. Let's get an update on the social scene. Last time you shared how the cocktail and dinner party circuit was the social heart of Ajijic. What was the name of the bar again?
Lucky Bar.
Lucky Bar. Mm-hmm. And is that still true, or do you have new social trends or activities that have come into play?
We have a completely new bar. It's called Cola de Gallo. It's sort of the same. I think both bars are kind of afraid to say that they are gay bars because they don't want to turn around or turn away gay clients or gay friendly clientele.
Right.
Lucky flies the gay pride flag outside, 2 huge flags.
And they renovated, right?
Yes. Well, they doubled their size. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, since we talked, they doubled their size. They took the unit beside them as well. She's still very busy, but the new bar has literally just been opened very recently. And it's the same. Well, they don't fly the flag, but they're getting a lot of the gay clientele.
That's because I think the population is gay in Ajijic.
It's hugely gay.
Since you moved in.
Well, of course, everybody followed me. I'm a bit like the Pied Piper of gaydom.
I know that there were a lot of your Grindr profile and Scruff profiles that came to Ajijic.
There you go.
I mean, that tripled the population alone.
It sure did.
But also, too, not just in Ajijic proper, there have been a couple of places on the east end of Lake Chapala that are catering to the gay and gay-friendly community for people who don't want to travel into Ajijic Centro, and one is Johnny's Lounge, and there's a couple others that people attend. So in the last 2 years, it definitely has grown. But I always say put 2 or 3 gay people in a bar and it becomes a gay bar.
That's true.
I mean, here, every bar and restaurant here is gay friendly.
Yeah.
There's no issues or anything. And we kind of like, there's another bar, Jorge's Place, which is straight. But about 2 months ago, Lucky Bar was closed for a night, and I just put out on Facebook, "Hey, I'm going to go to Jorge's Bar tonight. There's a disco. Anybody want to join?" And there were 35 people showed up on a 2-hour notice.
Of course, Steve, you have some following.
Well, I had new shoes that day.
Yeah.
So,
So
but Jorge, I've known for many years that owns the bar, and he just couldn't believe that many people would turn up. But apart from that, we were dancing with local guys. We were dancing with girls that were there, and nobody cares. Everybody just joins in and dances.
Yeah, I visited Mexico. I was just on vacation. And by the way, what's today? Today is Wednesday, November 13th that we're recording this. I was just in Mexico last week, and for the first time, actually. And I was astounded that everybody, now I know I was on vacation, but everyone was really sincerely nice.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. I mean, unlike some people here, but everyone was sweet and kind. And another thing and we'll talk about that a little later, another thing I noticed, I didn't see many homeless people, even in Mexico City, because I think the Mexican people take care of themselves, their family.
That's right. We have not a community by any means, about 5 people here who live on way down at the lake who are homeless, but they're kind of homeless, not of their own doing, but that's what they just want to live like that. People go down and leave them food and so on, and leave them alcohol, because that's one of the reasons why they're there. But no, this area, everybody's accepted. Like you're talking about Mexico City, we're obviously way, way smaller than that. But everybody cares about everybody else. We have so many charity events going on that raise a lot of money. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to get the gay community involved in giving back to the community here, rather than just take and living cheaply and so on, that we're seen to be giving back. And that's one of the reasons that we did the Rainbow Alliance, that we've had 14 months now, and we've raised over 1 million pesos, which is $50,000 for local charities.
So anyway, very good. It seems like the social scene in Ajijic turned from barely anything into something pretty big. It seems like it's becoming, I don't know, it seems like it's becoming could it be the next Puerto Vallarta? On a smaller scale?
Well, we're completely different in our social life than Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta is, for me, because I lived there for 4 years before I came here almost 18 years ago. Puerto Vallarta is meet at the bars. When I was living there, nobody really invited you to the home. Or here, it's about cocktail parties at home, pool parties somewhere. We have the gay dinners that get now up to 100 people. So, but everything here is sort of closed down by 10 o'clock. Really, you're kind of going home at 10 o'clock. I mean,
that's late for me.
Yes, I know. Well, if you're coming home at 11:30, it's you're waiting for your mother to slap your ass when you come in the door. It's like,
or your
you should
husband.
be a very bad boy.
You're right. Yeah. That's kind of like why I like Palm Springs or Cathedral City.
Yeah.
We go to the bar and the bar is cleared out by like 8.
Yeah.
Because everyone goes to bed by 9.
Yeah.
But yes, with the numbers, the gay group here, the Gay Alliance Ajijic, is probably this year we've had maybe 500 more members at least that are joining that.
Now, who started that?
Me.
I thought so.
It's all about Steve.
But now we have 2,700 members in it.
Is it just a Facebook group or is it anything else?
It's a Facebook group, but I just had talks with somebody last week about turning it into a website as well.
All right. Let's roll right along and get into the healthcare access and affordability. Harold, this one's going to go to you. How does healthcare in Ajijic compare to the U.S. currently? And have you noticed any changes in the quality or cost since the last time? And what's the wait time like to see a GP or a specialist?
Okay.
And are there new facilities opening in the area as the population grows?
Well, with respect, since there are many things you're paying out of pocket, there's not too much where you can use your private insurance, but there are some places where they're able to do through Medicare. But since I'm not at Medicare age yet, I'm not proficient in that to talk on that topic. But my most recent trips to the doctor, I just found a new GP, general practitioner, who is an American, but he also studied and worked at the University of Guadalajara Medical Center. And I was able to get an appointment, which was all booked online. And my initial consultation with him was for 90 minutes. And then a very long time, you fill out the 16-page questionnaire and you send that in, do your blood tests, and have everything done before your first appointment. And then he just went through everything with my particular medical issue. And then we did a follow-up appointment, which was free because your first initial appointment, the price was 1,000 pesos, and that included the price of your follow-up visit. And so
was that 100? Was that
1,000
$50?
pesos is about $50.
$50.
Okay. And then earlier this year, I inadvertently was running up the stairs in flip-flops, and I jammed my foot into the stair, and it swelled up, and I thought I had a broken toe. I went to the local hospital to get an x-ray, and I was in and out of there in about an hour and a half total. So to get an X-ray on the same day, and
how much did that cost?
I paid out of pocket at that time was about 1,500 pesos, and so for what I went through, the care was extremely well. Now, with respect to other more calamitous issues, the hospitals are good here, but if something a little more serious, may have to be referred to doctors in Guadalajara. And so, but
which is not horrible because it's 45 minutes away.
No. And so it just all depends on anybody who's thinking of coming here have to really look at their particular issues, because if they have something that is a major life health issue, you better do your homework before just saying, oh, I'm going to go to Mexico without really doing the research.
Absolutely.
But my experience so far that I've been here, it has been very good with respect to the medical facilities.
And is that the same with you, Steve?
I just don't get sick.
Oh,
it's easier that way. Well, no, I'm covered under the local health scheme simply because I still work. So I'm totally covered under that. But having said that, if I had something that I wanted to go to a doctor, I'm just going to go pay to see the doctor because it's so inexpensive.
So you're covered under the public system, and the
Yes.
public system usually has longer waits wherever you are and out of the country.
Not necessarily, no. No. I mean, you
No?
don't wait months here for anything. And I, like maybe a year and a half ago, I went to see a cardiologist who's the most respected in the area. And I had full work, the stress test, everything done. And to my memory, it was about eight for all of that. That was for the consultation, the tests, blood work, everything.
Yeah, here in the U.S., it would have been 80,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serious. Okay. So it's really inexpensive. If you don't even have private insurance, you can just out of pocket might be even more worth it, because I know private insurance also comes with the caveat that no pre-existing conditions. And we all are old gays and we have some pre-existing conditions. So
yeah, exactly. There's actually a really nice lesbian lady here who's really researched. She lives here. She's really researched everything. And she said a lot of it is people aren't educated. Americans who come here, they're not educated enough on what they can get covered, because now we have 3 hospitals in the area, whereas 10 years ago we had to go to Guadalajara for anything that was serious, even like an MRI. And now we have all of those facilities here. But I'm trying to encourage her to maybe do like a talk with people here when they come down to visit, that they meet her, because she's just researched it for her own interest.
Yeah.
But I see her popping up on different Facebook groups, and she's like, no, you can use Medicare for this, and you can do this, and you can do that. And so she's educated herself on it.
Oh, I'd like to talk to her too. So she's you could use Medicare?
Well, I know here some people have used it, Medicare Advantage, I think it is. This is a different world for me because I'm not American, so I don't know the system there. But I know that she was saying, no, you can do this. You can use Medicare Advantage for this, and you can do this. And especially if you're only in an emergency room.
I should have her on the podcast too.
But if you go into a ward, because there was a lady here who I know that had a heart attack about 3 months ago. And she didn't have a lot of money, and I literally read on Facebook that she was having a heart attack. So I got in the car, I knew where she lived, and I took her. I got her I got her in ambulance and got her into the hospital. And she was told she wasn't having a heart attack. She thought she was. But I said, just don't go to one of the wards. That you're totally covered. They've told me you're totally covered if you stay in the emergency room. So just stay here for the night, and it's free. And that's what she did, and she was released the next day.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah. Steve to the rescue. Steve rescues everybody. You rescue dogs.
Well, I have 6 dogs here that are looking at me. Yes.
People. You have a heart of gold.
Well, thank you.
Yes, he does.
All right. So let's talk about the gay community and friendliness in Ajijic. Is Ajijic still a warm and welcoming community? I'm sure it is. It hasn't changed. In fact, it probably have gotten even better. Are there any, we talked about the new bars, and how about your gatherings? Don't you have those dinners?
Yes, absolutely. Still once a month. We're thinking about turning them into more like cocktail parties. Catered cocktail parties, because when you do a dinner, people sit at a table and they talk to the people at the table. And they get up and they haven't really met anybody new. The first time that we did it was at my house in May, and we had 125 people here.
But remember, we did that last year at Christmas, and we had done that, and we had a band there, local band, and it was very well. People loved it, and I think, to Steve's point, is to be able to go out and meet new people. I think the cocktail parties are a great idea, in the fact that the dinners, yes, they're great, but everybody ends up sitting with the people that they know rather than, I mean, we're not going
Mingling.
to have place cards where we're going to have, but it does, people end up sitting with the same people that they know and not
Right.
really getting up and mingling. So I think
like
the cocktail parties is a good idea.
Can you believe
agree.
Harold stopped me talking about myself?
I know. Someone had
Well,
to.
somebody had to. That's right.
No, but I think that's definitely the way forward for us to go. If you have space, do it at somebody's house. And they're always catered and there's always a band and so on. But it's really good when people walk around and talk to new
It is.
people.
Have a few drinks and loosen up. Well, not
And see
loosen
my
up that
beauty.
much. Not loosen
Everybody's
up that
seen your
much.
beauty, Steve.
Oh God. And I definitely agree with that as well. And people like to dance too and have fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But
So-
the mixers like that have gotten like 125 people.
Wow.
So it's
Wow. I
pretty
remember they used to have those dinners. It was like 90 people. And I was like, wow, 90 gays for
Yeah. Well,
for an
the
event?
problem that we were having was getting a restaurant big enough to take the whole crowd.
That's why Lucky's expanded.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's great. That's one thing that attracts people are people. So
Yes, exactly.
definitely a good thing. Let's talk about transportation, if or lack of congestion, traffic. You previously mentioned increased weekend traffic from Guadalajara. Has this been addressed or are there still high traffic days? Do you have any new tips for avoiding that?
Well, the tips to avoid it is just learn not stay home, but know when it's busy and when it isn't. I mean, from 2 years ago, nothing much has changed except we have more people here, more cars, people. And again, it's not necessarily all the snowbirds. You've got all the people who have second homes here from Guadalajara. And I've noticed the traffic starting to increase since the beginning of the month, because we're now starting to get into season. Once January hits, it will just be full blown for the next few months. And you just, if you're living or staying in the village, you walk around, but you just have to really manage your time of what you want to do, because it takes longer to get anywhere when you've got more cars and you only have one main highway in and out of the town.
One of the good things, though, if you're living in the village, thankfully, most of the Guadalajarans that come weekends, they just sit in the traffic. But if you know the village, where you can cut through and get right through without sitting and waiting in the traffic. And one of the other things, just apart from the increased numbers of foreigners who are coming here, and I think I might have said this before, there are now more local people with cars. Because like my housekeeper and gardener are a married couple, but they have a car each.
Wow.
You know, whereas 20 years ago, 15 years ago, probably 10 years ago, that was never going to be a thing. No, there was no way that was going to happen.
Wow. Just out of curiosity, since the election, the people from the U.S., how many people have contacted you approximately, Steve?
On
and
Facebook alone,
how many people are serious, do you think?
Well, people started to contact me about 6 months ago. And if there's anybody here that's contacted me, just have a little bit of patience, because it's been, I would say, 175 people have sent me a message through Facebook in about a week. Now, as I say, a lot of people had been coming down anyway. A lot of people just didn't want to be in the United States anyway after the election. It didn't mind who won. They just didn't want to deal with the fallout of either. But I did very well in real estate last month from people that had already pre-planned to move.
Okay, and how many people do you think are serious that just contacted you?
Out of 175 messages, I would think on about 3 weeks, things will calm down a little bit again.
Yeah.
But I would still say that about 100 of them are very serious inquiries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, you're going to be...
Well, that's only the gay market, you
Okay.
know, that. And I mean, I deal with both markets, but it's largely gay.
Yeah, you're going to need a secretary. Assistant.
Yeah.
Assistant.
Well, unfortunately, Harold doesn't need the money.
No, I do not need the money. I'm happy with my Airbnb and collecting rent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk about the dining scene. I'll tell you, I was astounded when I was in Mexico City of the delicious the restaurants that we went to. Few of them were far better than mostly any restaurant that I've been to in the US. They were incredible. So I know Ajijic and Lake Chapala is a smaller city, town, whatever you want to call it. But how are the restaurants there?
Well, I think we have, like everywhere, you've got okay restaurants, you've got good, and then you've got a few excellent. I think we're pretty good here. We have like 7 or 8 restaurants that I would call really good, and we have a really good steak place that if that's what you want, that's where I would go. There's really good fish restaurants. I think we have pretty good dining here, and like Dan and I went out today to Adelita's, which is one of the more popular ones. I had a Greek wrap with French fries, and it was like I brought half of it home. He had a veggie burger and French fries. He had 2 beers, and I had a Diet Coke, and it was about $15 for everything. And it was delicious. That's
pretty funny.
Yeah, I know.
For me,
well, he couldn't believe it. He lives in Dallas. And he said, how much was that? And I was like, oh, 200. It's about $15. He's like, are you serious? So then he took a picture of everything and sent it to his friends in Dallas.
Yeah. I had a great dining experience in Mexico City. I don't know why. I don't know. They probably like, oh, these gringos, they'll get on social media and tell us and give good reviews. But the manager or owner came over, and I don't know if he was doing a presentation on wine or whatever earlier, but he gave us a free bottle of wine. Who does that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here, when I used to have the B&B, people would come in late to check in, and we always had a bottle of wine and little snacks if they came in. But lots of times they would say we weren't ready to sleep, and we just went out. And so we went down 4 doors, and some local lady was cooking tamales, and she brought us in and said, why don't I have one of these? And that's very common here. And we used to have a little corner store that sold a little bit of everything. And one guy went down. They said it was 11 o'clock at night. And I didn't have any money. He said I went in and I thought they would take dollars. But it's a little mom and pop thing. And he said, no, the guy said, no, just take everything and come back in the morning and pay me. That it's no problem. That people are blown away by things like that.
Yes, that's happened.
The kindness is here.
I mean, the kindness is incredible here, because we've all had that embarrassing moment where we didn't have enough, and I've had the same experience. They go, "I'll just bring it to me tomorrow," and I'm going, "Wow,
you wouldn't see that here."
You try to do that in the U.S., you get
they'd
called,
arrest you.
They arrest you, or have you washed the dishes in the
back. Right? Exactly. So, okay, so the dining scene is good, and I'm sure Guadalajara must have excellent restaurants as well.
Oh, yes. I mean, there are some incredible places. One of my favorites in Guadalajara is called Hueso, which in Spanish means bone, and it's a communal dining setup, and everything is all painted white, and then you have all these bones, skulls, and everything all on the wall. Is just a very eclectic restaurant, but it's all about the food. Grilled octopus, everything is seasonal, and it's all brought out communal style. So you'll be at a table and you'll have someone next to you, and you just start chatting. And that's if you speak Spanish, but you should be learning your Spanish here. But it's an incredible dining scene in Guadalajara, and with the new restaurants that have opened lakeside in the past year, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Harold's better at this because I haven't eaten anything in 2 years. I'm still trying to lose some COVID weight.
Oh my God.
You'll do it.
Well, I had that French fry 2 weeks ago.
And I don't even know restaurant Spanish. I can't even get by with restaurant Spanish. I'm like, usually I can in a restaurant, but other than that. Well,
that's the good thing here. I mean,
Google Translate.
Here in Ajijic or all around the Lake Chapala area, all the menus are in both languages.
Yeah, that's how it was in Mexico
City. The waiters
City
will speak both languages as well. Yeah, we're very spoiled here.
Yes.
We really are. Yeah.
Yep. And you should be.
Yeah. Well, Steve likes to be spoiled.
Yes, I know.
And catered to.
Yes, I do. Of course. Of course. How about cost of living? Is Ajijic, last time we spoke, was very affordable, low property taxes, reasonable utility costs. Has prices for housing and groceries and dining increased? And what is the current median home price for a single-family home, Steve?
Single-family home, it's obviously all about location. When people come to me for real estate, one of the first things that I want to ask is how social do they want to be? Because if you don't want to be social, you can be in one of we call them fraccionamentos, but one of the communities further out, like 10, 15 minutes away from Ajijic. And prices in there for like a 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a good sized yard are going to be around maybe the 330 mark. I just had an offer today on one that was 330, and it's got a beautiful manicured garden, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, good sized kitchen, good living room. But it's all about the outside space here because a lot of people live outside. If you come closer to Ajijic, there's still some 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Like there's one beautiful place right now at 259, which is a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and it's got a beautiful yard. There's room for a pool. And then you come right into the village and you're going to be up for little townhouses in the 300s. Probably in the upper 300s, which will be 2 bedroom, 2.5 bath, or 3 bedroom, 3 bath.
No,
but
these
the big thing, of course, is the property taxes. If you have something here at $500,000 US in the village, your property taxes are going to be about $250 a year, and that includes free garbage collection.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. But okay. Are they all the homes that are listed, are they all typical Mexican design?
No, not at all.
No? Are there any modern kind of European look?
Like a lot of people have come in and modernized and so on. Some I'm going to say Americans for not the broader term, because Americans are largely the buyers that are coming in. Mm-hmm. Some of them want really Mexican and some of them want modern. And you have everything here. So it just depends on your choice. I mean, I have 2 clients at the minute that both want really Mexican homes. They want color. And then you've got others coming in that kind of want, not necessarily what they, like an American home, but they want it to look white walls and flat roofs. A lot of the rooms, the homes here have boveda ceilings, which is the brick ceilings that are sort of kind of unique to here, but now have gone throughout Mexico, and they are spectacular. So a lot of people want that kind of feel to it.
So when I was in San Miguel, for instance, we went to cooking class with a chef to her home, and her home was, if you bought it now, it would probably cost 1.2 million US, and she had an elevator from the kitchen downstairs. It was a separate cooking kitchen for her clients. And then she brought the gays on a tour
Yeah, so they were searching in the closets and in the drawers and
so
what
we
was
went
in the medicine cabinet.
We took the elevator up. The place was probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. All modern European style decoratings from from floor to ceiling. I mean, just totally unbelievable. And I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, it was quite beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I have two listings now. One, they're the two of the very high end ones here. One's 1.495 million, and the other one's 1.395. But even with those, the property taxes are less than $1,000, and I mean they're spectacular. One of them is about 10,000 square feet for that size, and lake views and so on. And we have a lot of houses here that have been remodeled that when I go to look at them, I always say, okay, this is going to be a Palm Springs couple. Well, this is what it's going to appeal to.
Or San Francisco, and they'll have the money.
Yeah. We did have a little bit of a lull when we had the heat wave here for those 6 weeks, simply because that's the time that the Californians come to escape their heat. And they're like, well, we don't want to go to escape 115 and go towards 97.
Exactly.
It's not that big enough of a change, even though it still is. But that was one of the things that we encountered, that people delayed their trip coming down.
Harold, do you see any difference from the last time we spoke about difference in grocery prices? I know inflation has hit everywhere, but...
Yeah, I've noticed prices in many grocery items. And also, too, I see it in the restaurants, seeing some prices go up there, but not to the level as I've seen in the States. My recent visit to the States, and I left the grocery store with 3 bags and spent nearly $100. And so it just all depends on the items. If you buy the local produce, not going to be a lot, but many of the imported items that come in from the U.S., the price has gone up. I mean, perfect example, peanut butter. To buy peanut butter, I buy an organic one that comes through most likely Costco, paying over $10 for a jar of peanut butter, but I'm not going to give up my peanut butter.
I wouldn't either.
So there are certain things that if you are can find it and want to keep something from home, you're going to pay more for it because it's imported. But as with anywhere, prices go through the seasons with respect to vegetables. Right now, avocado's a little on the pricier side, but overall, I've seen some increase, but not huge for me. But for the locals, price increases definitely affect them.
Does Ajijic have a local mercado?
Well, you have several of them. You have the Tuesday market, which is the organic market. You have the Wednesday Tian, which is in the near the center of town, and then there's a Monday market over in San Antonio. So my favorite is the Wednesday market because you can get vegetables, fruits, you can buy fish there. You want to get flowers, there's vendors that sell flowers. But yeah, you could basically, and I've done it for dinner parties where I've bought all of my grocery items from the Wednesday market. Yeah, awesome. So you can pretty much find anything, but if you're looking for those American items, you're going to pay more for it.
Yeah.
There's a lesbian couple here who are major foodies and cook, and every Wednesday after the Wednesday market, they post all of what they got, and it's like a table full of stuff for $20 and so on. And we also have the organic market and a farmer's market where you can go and buy things like shepherd's pies and so on. There are people there who make sausages, whatever you ask for, the garlic and potato and so on. And those are still pretty inexpensive to do.
Yeah, it seems like the local stuff is...
Yes. Well, going back with, you got to learn here. And I was trying to get somebody to do a talk on it or a tour. And I'm trying to say tour like an American because I said like
tour.
Yeah, I was going to do a tour. Nobody understood what I was saying. Yeah, like to go around and explain to people the Mexican equivalent of what they're used to in the States, because usually it's healthier and better.
Right.
But you just have to learn those kind of things.
Got it. Okay. Is there anything else? How about you, like cost of utilities? Has that gone up or?
No, not really.
No,
I mean, my property taxes haven't gone up at all. Mine are about 500 US for a big property. The big thing here is having solar electricity.
How much is your electric
I have
bill?
a decent sized pool, a decent sized garden, and a reasonably sized house. My electricity is about $17 a month.
17?
17.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Because I have solar. But putting solar panels in here is a fraction of the cost.
Oh, so it doesn't cost like $10,000?
If you're lucky, yeah. I mean, you're looking. I know in the U.S., putting in a system was $40,000 because I was looking at my house in Palm Springs, and I just put in an additional system on my building, and it was about the equivalent of $7,000 US. And my bill my initial bill was 80 pesos for 2 months, but that was before. Yeah. But because I put in the air conditioners and now everybody's using them, my last bill for 2 months was about 6,000 pesos, which is the equivalent 150 a month.
Oh.
For an entire building, a restaurant, and 3 rooms that are running air conditioners. And so it's
it or not because they're not paying for it.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Wow. That is a big difference than here. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. And your internet and so on is like $20 a month, roughly.
And does that include phone?
Like when I came here 18 years ago, you had one system. You had Telmex, which is the local government one, and that gave you your landline plus internet. Now there's all of these different packages that you can get with Total Play that give you US TV. Yeah, there's a huge variation now of what we can get.
I have one thing that annoyed me. So I go to an ATM, right? I go to a Citibanamex, it's called. And I put in my debit card. It's a Visa. Get stuck. I'm like, I can't get it out. I get the guy. Finally comes after 20 minutes. And he pulls it really hard and it comes out. And he goes in broken English, "We no take Visa." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't take Visa?" He goes, "Oh, this is just MasterCard Bank." I'm like, what? So I couldn't believe that each bank either does MasterCard or Visa.
I've never heard that. Yeah.
In Mexico City.
Yeah. And I've used my ATMs there, and I use my regular debit card and I've used my Visa, but I've never had an issue. The only issue I've ever had with an ATM is when everything goes through and you don't get your money. Other than that happens. No, I've never.
Maybe the guy was wrong, but he said, "Oh no, this is Visa card. You need MasterCard."
Yeah, because I've had one where it looks like you've done the transaction and then you don't get your money, but then it automatically refunds it if you check in like 5 minutes.
That should happen.
It's refunded. No, but I've never had that. To be honest with you, I only use a debit card at the ATMs.
Well, that's what I was using, a Visa debit card.
Oh,
but it
no,
was a visa.
that's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. That would never happen in Ajijic.
Okay.
Or maybe
I
they
was
just
like-
had the name Mark Goldstein and you were flagged in the system.
Yeah.
I said, what the frig?
Probably
Anyway,
a fugitive or something.
It was from Wise that you can transfer funds from
He's probably
pesos.
running away from a lover whose stone is Winnebago or something.
Yeah, it could be that. He's in the witness protection program and the name was...
But anyway, people, back to the podcast.
Yes. So, okay. Are newcomers still arriving in Ajijic as couples mostly, or are they singles?
Probably still mostly as couples, yeah. But we definitely have had a lot more singles coming in.
Do you have any activities geared towards singles?
Not really. Everybody just
curious.
goes out. There is a straight Ajijic singles thing.
No,
but
we don't want that.
No, everybody just mixes in and...
Okay.
But yeah, there definitely has been in this year, definitely a lot more singles have come down.
Okay. Good to know. Hear that,
Of course, they hook up with the couples.
Yeah.
Well, they used to hook up with you.
So disgusting.
But you're married now.
Now he's in a relationship.
If anybody can't see me, I'm clutching my pearls right now.
Now he's in a relationship.
Yeah, he's off the market. There are a lot of gay boys crying their eyes at night because of that.
I know. Yeah. They're all saying,
crying into their Gucci purses.
His blue eyes. Oh, his blue eyes are so gorgeous. But anyway. All right. On to arts and culture. The local theater, Lake Chapala Society events, they have thrived. Are there any new performances, exhibitions, or community arts?
Definitely has thrived. The Lakeside Little Theater has just introduced their 60th season, and the talent that I am seeing there are 3 local theaters: the Lakeside Little Theater, the Bravo Theater, and then there is the Bear Stage Readers Theater. And the level of performances that I've been seeing this past year, earlier this year, the Lakeside Little Theater did Jesus Christ Superstar. And it was absolutely incredible in the fact that many new performers, very talented performers, are participating. And kind of one of the reasons why I stopped auditioning for theater, because there's so many good people there. But the quality is definitely there. I've got tickets for the Bravo Theater. They're doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And my friend Tim is the musical director for the show. And I've seen the cast, and I've worked with several of the cast members in my one and only show. And it's exciting to see what is coming out for the next year.
Is it all in English?
Yeah, it's all in English.
Yeah, the Lakeside Little Theater is the oldest English-speaking theater in Mexico.
I love how he says that.
It started in 1965, yeah. And I'm also producing a show called Steve Cross Superstar.
Oh my God.
It's like a take on Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
And I'm doing all my own PR, and I'm doing every role.
Harold, do you think he loves himself?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you imagine him doing the Last Supper, him playing the Jesus and all the apostles and Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. And the thing is, you wouldn't get me near a stage if you paid me, and that's actually the truth.
Well, there was that incident with the stripper pole now on the stage.
That's never to be talked about ever.
Oh, wait.
It was that one time.
I have a picture. I have a picture of myself on
that one
year
at band camp.
But the other one, the Lake Chapala Society, I mean, because I post a lot about it, but I mean, we have had some fantastic entertainment there. And that's where we do the drag queen bingos that we've raised the money for. The last one that we did drag formations, which we took 3 guys who live here and the guy who won it was 84 years old and straight. and he just rocked it. And we made a lot of money for charity. So that's going to be one thing that we'll incorporate going forward as well.
Yeah.
But
It was
definitely
fun.
with the amount of theater and entertainment here, you will definitely not be bored. And even the regular bars, there's live music everywhere, somewhere, every single night.
I always see the videos that you post.
I know.
And I'm pretty amazed.
Yeah.
So that's great.
We just had a big show recently where the lead singer from the Real Mariachis here, who are like nationally known, but he's decided to go to Mexico City and try to pursue a career. He got down to the last 3 of the Lion King, but didn't get it. But we had a kind of farewell for him when it was packed. I think there was about maybe 500 people came to 2 different shows to kind of give him a send-off to go to Mexico City.
Are there any museums in Ajijic, or do you have to go to Guadalajara?
There's not really. We have cultural centers here that will have different expositions and so on. But yeah, probably like real, like museum stuff. You got to go to the city.
Yeah,
Guadalajara. The city. Mm-hmm. The city.
But a lot of people just, because it's cheap to hire transport here. So people will like, okay, we've hired a vehicle for 12 people. Let's go.
How much is that?
Oh, it works out about maybe $20 per person.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's cheap. Yeah.
Good deal.
And quite often we'll stay overnight and make a night of it. So
is there any public transportation at all? I know in Mexico City they had some buses that I would never drive. Right? They were so packed with people.
No, we have a very, very good long distance service here. With like luxury buses that go to Puerto Vallarta, San Miguel, and so on. Like local transport, we have it. There's transport that goes direct into the city, and I mean a lot of people use it.
Do you need a car?
Sorry?
Do you need a car?
It depends where you live. I mean, if you live in the village, you don't need a car, but you cut yourself off from going to different things. But a lot of people do live without a car and use the regular the normal transport system.
Do you have Uber?
No.
We kind of do and kind of don't. Yeah. To be honest with you, it's so inexpensive here that they're not really going to show up. They'll show up on the app. Most people here have a driver that you build a history with. And you just use them to go here or there and whatever. And a lot of people, if they're doing something, you can hire people here who will do a Costco run for you from the city. And now we have a couple of stores that have Costco stuff here. And you obviously pay a little bit more, but it's better than going in for a day to the city and whatever.
Gotcha.
That's actually one of the things that's probably developed in the last couple of years.
Yes.
Is that you can do that. And of course, Costco deliver now as well.
Now, are you guys on a hill where you live?
Yeah.
You can't walk up,
probably,
right?
As the crow flies, 1/4 of a kilometer apart.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but we're both up on a hill.
Yeah, because I went up some hills, especially in San Miguel. The house.
San Miguel is
San Miguel is definitely tough when you are walking those streets, and the inclines can be a little steep.
Oh my God!
And especially after you've had a few cocktails, and you could stumble, break your heel, and roll down the hill.
Steep wasn't the word. So, yeah.
No, I could walk home if I was really desperate. I could walk home from the village.
And it depends on what shoes you're wearing, too.
I've never been that
That's
desperate.
That's true if you're wearing your spiked heels.
What I do, my gardener has been with me for 17 and a half years. And if I'm going to go out for the night and I know I'm going to drink too much, which has happened, I think, once in maybe 18 years.
Yeah,
once a week.
Once in every 18 minutes.
Once a week.
Yes. Being Irish, I do go out and enjoy a good salad.
Yes.
But I just pay him He comes, gets me, drives me, leaves me at the bar. He goes back to his family, and I call him when I'm ready to go home. It's good for
That's
him, and
nice
it's good
of
for
him.
me because he makes a little
Extra
extra
money.
money. And for me, it's just a way to be safe.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right. And okay, so you need a car really to get around.
I mean, there are a lot of single guys here, especially who don't have a car. They will sometimes get together and say, hey, why don't we go to do a shop, such and such? And they hire a driver to do that.
Okay.
But I think you really cut yourself off if you don't
have a car.
Yeah, got it. And they're all manual transmissions, correct?
No.
No?
Now, mine is an automatic, and
Really?
I've had mine for several years.
Wow.
But no, depends on what you're looking to spend.
Or the terrain.
But no, mine. I bought mine through a rental company because we rented the car first, and then we decided to buy, and we ended up just buying the rental car. But at that time, the price was really reasonable, but in the last 2 years, especially during COVID, the price of used cars have definitely gone up.
Yeah.
But to Steve's point, if you want to really explore the area, and I would have a car. But if you don't have a car, you can hire a driver to do those things. You have choices.
Got it.
And a few of them in the gay scene, if there's a party, like in the Racket Club, which is 12 to 15 minutes away, they'll just all organize together. Okay, there's 3 of us. Let's get a driver.
Yeah.
And go out. Yeah. I mean, I have 2 cars. The first one was a standard, and I loved that. But when I was getting the new one, which was an automatic, I said to the guy, well, sell this one for me. And he said, oh, you're not going to get a lot of money for it because it's a standard. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, well, I'll just keep it. And that'll be the car for the dogs. And anybody that comes and stays as a guest, they have a spare car that they can use. Unfortunately, the last guest that did it hit a scooter.
I couldn't drive a standard. I've never driven. I hate driving insurance. Period. But standard.
No, I love driving. I will never be a passenger.
Oh, I'm always passenger. So you can drive me, Miss Daisy.
Yeah, driving Miss Daisy.
Let's talk about crime and security updates. Has there been any changes in crime rates and community safety? Is it still expected to have the bars on windows? I've seen a lot of that. Are there other security measures that residents rely on? I remember the last time we spoke, and Steve said, if you're not involved in any of the bad stuff, cartel stuff, drugs, or anything, then it's fine. Is that changed?
No, not at all. I mean, I know I posted something about a week ago on your Facebook group, and somebody commented, yeah, but I just looked at the crime statistics. You can't go out at night. I was like, oh my God, that is ridiculous. I mean, we don't think about that. I mean, there's a lot of single women who live here, and they came here because of the safety factor, that they can walk around the village. Nobody's worried about getting mugged or anything like that. There are a lot of, and I get this a lot, why are there bars on the windows? Like I showed a house yesterday. Yeah. It is almost an art form, but I was showing a place 3 days ago, and you go through a security gate and then you go through a second security gate, but they still had bars on the windows. And they said, but why would they do that? And they said, a lot of people here are snowbirds. So when they leave for the summer, they feel, okay, it's more secure because it's all locked up.
You don't want squatters.
I showed a house yesterday, and I said, the first thing that I would do is get rid of all of these bars from the windows, because you don't need it. It's not, I mean, here it's very, very safe. We have an occasional break-in, but of course, with the power of Facebook now, it gets reported on 15 local Facebook groups, and it looks like we had
a multiple
break-ins. But definitely overall, it's safe.
And you know what? My impression also in both the cities, San Miguel and Mexico City, that I just visited, San Miguel, I felt totally safe.
Yeah.
Mexico City was so big that, of course, I'm going to be aware of my surroundings.
Yeah.
But I felt safe there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never felt unsafe anywhere in Mexico, but things do happen here, and you just have to use basic common sense. And I mean, I knew of people from other areas where they were victims of crime in Puerto Vallarta, where people think everything is safe. It happens, but yes, to Steve's point, because of social media, everybody reports it and then makes it look like we're having a crime wave here. But I've never, in the 5 years that I've lived here full time, I have never felt unsafe. And I've walked at night, and I've everywhere in this town, and even walking in Guadalajara. You already know when you talk to people, there are certain areas that you just don't go to, and you just use common sense. But I've never felt unsafe.
Okay, I have a question. What's up with pay toilets? We stopped on the road at a gas station. We had to go to the bathroom. You didn't have 5
pesos,
and it's 5 pesos, and they give you 1 sheet of toilet paper. What the
good
fuck?
News,
oops, sorry. What the hell am I going to be doing with that?
It's only 3 pesos.
So they give you more than 1 sheet?
You've saved a cent, and you might get an extra little bit of tissue.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When they handed me that, I was like, wait, I'm glad I don't have to go number 2.
Mexico.
I'm like, what would I do with that?
Yeah. Actually, I don't even know here. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've never used any of them like here, because you're always like a short drive from a restaurant or something like that.
Yeah. And then you get in them, first of all, you go in one, if you had to go to do, you know what, there's no toilet bowl. I mean, there's a toilet bowl, but there's no toilet seat. I'm like, oh my God. No.
Welcome to Mexico. I tried going to a country where you have no toilet and you have to squat like I did in Italy, squat in a hole in the ground.
And Harold is a good squatter. I mean, he's talking as a squatter.
Not for me. Sorry. No, if I can have somebody wipe my butt.
But that is pretty common in Mexico. Yeah, public toilets, 5 pesos and 1 square. It's not like you can you spare a square?
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a Seinfeld. I was watching a Seinfeld. I was like,
it's like, can I buy another square? It's like, can I buy a vowel?
Right. Can I give you 10 pesos? Or, and will I get like 3?
No, that's it. Just bargain with them. It's like, can I buy you have that show, don't you? Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah, that's Wheel of Fortune.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you know what I did?
We had that in Ireland.
When we were traveling from San Miguel to Mexico, I said, you know what? I'm taking a roll of toilet paper with me. That's what I did. I didn't have to stop, but just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they do have it even if you go to the IMSS hospitals here, which are the socialized care that you can pay to get into. I mean, you do have to bring your own because they're trying to cut down so much on expenses because they're giving...
You have to bring your own toilet paper to the hospital?
Yeah, yeah. Not here. I know in Mexico City you do. But Guadalajara and our local ones, no, you don't. But Mexico City, because so many millions are using it, it's one of their ways to just cut down on expenses that you have to bring your own. But in Guadalajara, that's not an issue. And here at the lake, it's not an issue either. Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty funny.
And don't expect Charmin.
No.
Right.
Yeah, you're most likely just going to get the Kirkland brand.
Exactly. It'll be like sandpaper.
It's Kirkland. Kirkland is like, it's kind of sandpapery. No wonder I have hemorrhoids. Okay, so Local shopping, do you have to go into like the city to go shopping, and not grocery shopping,
For
but like
shoes, yes.
Yeah, you can't find shoes here, and Steve always has to make a trek
he
in the
goes to the
city.
city, he gets
Yeah.
shoes.
No, actually, I buy online anyway.
Yeah.
And there's a
Oh, you're one of
Costco.
those fancy people.
And do you have
No,
Amazon?
it is getting more developed out here. But you're like things like sportswear and that sort of, that we have like little malls here that have things like sportswear and so on. But like if you want anything high fashion,
You have to go to Guadalajara.
you drive 45 minutes to the city.
Okay. And
my
there's a
favorite
Costco
places-
there.
Well, you're not going to buy your high fashion at Costco. Maybe Steve
No, I
does,
know.
but
I know.
stores like Liverpool, which is the equivalent of Macy's, but I
Okay.
find Liverpool much better than Macy's. But there are many great stores to go shopping, and I've bought in the past a tuxedo, suits. You do that all in Guadalajara. There are more things for women's clothing here in Ajijic, not so much for men, with the exception of sportswear, sports
And
shorts.
Walmart,
And
Walmart.
Yeah.
The fabulous fashion lines at Walmart where you can get like Taylor Swift by Walmart for leggings for $1.
Well, they don't have the Kmart here, so you can get your Jacqueline Smith line.
Oh, I used to love her.
Oh, yeah. She's beautiful. How about Amazon? Do you have Amazon deliveries?
Oh,
Yes.
Oh my God. Amazon is delivered to my house almost every day. And one of the questions people ask, do I use my American Amazon? Is there Mexican?
You have to use Mexican.
I have both, and I flip based on where I am. All I have to do is switch a button and it switches over. And you also have to really compare there's certain things that you can't get here. You can switch to Amazon US and it'll tell you if it can be delivered to Mexico. But Amazon has become so huge here in the last couple of years in the fact that outside of Guadalajara, I know that they have and they're building another Amazon center for all of their shipments. And it's very reasonable. And again, you also, if you join Prime here in Mexico as well, you can get free shipping. So you have all the same benefits.
It's as quick too, right?
It is quick.
Yeah, he flips due to which Amazon he wants to use, but he also flips due to his partner. But that's probably another podcast.
That's a whole other podcast.
that is Steve.
There's a whole lot of flipping going on.
And I actually don't, believe it or not, literally the only thing I buy online are shoes. I don't know how to use Amazon. I'm like a Neanderthal when it comes to things like that. I really am. I call Dan in Dallas and say, "Can you send these?"
Oh my God!
And he'll send them.
Well, I believe that.
Yes,
I definitely believe that.
Yeah,
I know
I'm
you.
just pretty. I'm not very smart online.
You're just there for everyone.
Which showed
everything.
because I had to set up your computer for this
That's
podcast.
true. Yes, that's true. I had no clue what was going on.
But yes, you can get anything on Amazon.
Okay.
And we actually, in the local Amazon, we have a Buen Fin, which is like, what do you call it in the States? Black Friday?
Black Friday.
Yeah. And that's coming up soon. And the real estate office that I work out of, there's like 3 people that are like, I might not be home. Can I send all of my orders to your office? I said, okay, well, you bought your house from us, so yeah, you can. But like there are days that we have like 40 boxes in the reception area from people getting the deals from our version of Black Friday.
Yep. Got it. How about, is there new development and growth going on since it's been so popular with the gays and the US people? Have like new stores opening, new real estate builds, anything like that?
Yeah, we've had a couple of new real estate companies move in, but people think it's easy. And they come in from other areas thinking that they can recreate what they've done here or done there here. And it's not that easy. This is still a smallish community, so a lot of it's word of mouth. But yeah, restaurants open up like on a regular basis. Now, a lot of them don't make it because they're copying something else that's already here and successful. So yeah, there's definitely growth coming in, but a lot of them don't stay around very long. We have the older established places, like in everything, in real estate and restaurants, stores, everything.
I mean, I've noticed in my neighborhood many new homes and apartments being constructed in the neighborhood. And I just met one of my neighbors who bought a piece of land and finally finished building his house a couple of months ago. But just within my immediate area, I would say there were 8 or 9 developed areas, and then also right on the Carretera, the Carretera apartment building being built, which is most likely, I would say, condos. So I'm seeing the growth, but who is buying it, I don't know. So, and it's not into any response. People just are discovering Ajijic and are coming here and either buying or, in the case of my neighbor, decided to custom build their home. So
it's amazing on Where Do Gays Retire on the Facebook group. Ajijic comes up almost all the time.
Yeah, it does.
All the time.
It does.
And I try to tag you. But.
Yeah, well, we have had a huge influx. I mean, we really have. When I started the Gay Alliance Ajijic group, there's no way that I thought we'd get to. I was thinking we'll get to about 400 members, and now we're at 2,700. And there's also other social medias come in with the guys that the Truly Remarkable Life guys. They are doing videos.
Yes, I saw that videos.
They've been pretty popular. And they're fun and informative, and they're honest, which is good. They don't sugarcoat anything. They really give you the lowdown on everything, and they've traveled to other areas and done videos there as well.
I'll have to have them on my show.
I think they would be a good addition. Couple.
Yeah, and actually KJ is now bringing in mortgages to the area. And I think that's where I left today, because he was doing a talk on mortgages at Lucky Bar that today, just as we started this.
Got it. So Lake Chapala, I know that somebody even asked that today on the group. Can you do any activities in Lake Chapala? I was like, no, you can't swim.
I wouldn't swim, me personally, but people do swim in there. You can't really do a whole lot. Someone was asking me about, well, why isn't there more boating or anything? One of the reasons why is, 1, the lake is not that deep. Also, 2, when the lake was really low due to lack of rain, local farmers had put up fences and to do whatever, and then when the rain levels came up, all of those fences and wires are underwater. And there have been incidences in the past where people have gotten caught up in those nets and those wires, and there were some drownings in the past. So
I wouldn't go in there.
Me personally, everybody thinks it's gotten much better, but I personally just wouldn't want to go swimming in the lake. Yeah.
I mean, the quality of the lake has gotten much better. One of the last reports, the problem is that a lot of the reports about the lake are years old. But the last one that I have a copy of, it said that the lake was cleaner than 65% of California beaches. But you have all of those other issues. Like as Harold said, like the wire thing, because when it was low, they would put barbed wire to fence in 2 cows and a goat and so on. And then when the rains come, and this year we had a really fabulous rainy season, which we needed. So the lake is really back up now. But it is, the other thing is the depth. There is on the east end of Chapala, there's a private part of the lake. And they've had the World Water Ski Championships there several times. When I had the B&B here about 10 years ago, the American team stayed with us at the B&B.
I bet that was fun.
Oh, it was fabulous. And I had just gotten lipo, so I was looking my best.
Ah.
No, but they've had that a couple of times over there. But it is a private part of the lake, and they have sea bass fishing there, different things. But for me, the lake in general is just nice to look at.
It's pretty.
Yes, it is. It's
and
pretty
it's a
to look
nice
at.
view from your house.
Yes, exactly. And if you have a lake view, it's a bonus. Speaking
of water, can you drink the water? See, when I put my finger, the camera goes back.
I know, it's like you're cross with us.
Can you drink the water? Is there filtered water in all of the restaurants and all of the homes?
Yeah, I mean, any restaurants that you're going to go to are definitely going to serve you filtered water. The water quality here is actually really good, but it depends. Some of the houses, the older houses, have older pipes. And so by the time it gets into your house, it's not going to be as good a quality. But almost everybody has filtered water. And it really does depend on the area that you live in. Like where I live, before I moved to this house, we had our own well. And a lot of areas have their own well, which is very good quality. And I could have drank that without having a purification system at the house. But still, it's inexpensive to do it. And so everybody just adds it as an extra precaution. And I'm a water snob. I'm always buying bottled water. So I lived in an area that was recognized as the best natural water. I still had all of this filtration, but I still bought bottled water as well. Mainly because I like to grab a bottle of water and leave. But I had no problem drinking it from the source.
When they came over and said, would you like water or sparkling? I know sparkling is going to come in a bottle. So I was like, yeah, I'll have sparkling.
Yeah, no, restaurants that you're going to, it's going to be definitely no problem. Because again, with the power of Facebook, if somebody's like, I got sick at such and such a restaurant, and I think it was the water. And
the ice. You got to worry about the ice too.
Yeah. But anywhere that you go here to a restaurant, it's going to be filtered. And the vast, vast majority of homes are filtered.
Cool. Let's touch a little bit before we get going, because we're running out of time. Residency and visa processes, for those that don't know. Which one of you gentlemen would want to talk about visa processes?
I will go ahead and talk about that. Each year, the requirements have been going up, because the Mexican government wants to make sure that people are coming into the system are not going to be a drain on the country. And so they're trying to, this year, on average for a temporary, your average monthly income is well over $4,000 a month. And you have to show that you have in savings, whether through bank statements, investments, or anything, on average about $69,000 in savings. When you go to a when you go to a permanente, you're looking anywhere from minimum over $5,000 up to over $7,000, and you've got to have show proof of savings of over $250,000 on average.
Wow.
There is a local website. Her name, a woman named Mariana Lang, runs a website called Mexico Relocation Guide, and she just scours information like crazy. And she's always posting all of the information, most recent information.
Changes.
And as I stated 2 years ago, when you are starting, whether you're temporal or you're permanent resident, you have to start in the United States at a Mexican consulate. And you have to do your homework, because not every Mexican consulate has the same financial requirements, because you would think that government is efficient. Oh, wait, they aren't. And each one is different. And so, because Jeff, my husband, went through San Bernardino, had a great experience, but you have to look. If you're living in a metropolitan area, say like Dallas, check out other places like Laredo, or go over to New Orleans or even Arizona, because you'll find the different financial requirements different. But most likely come 2025, those will go up again, because what's happening, and especially with the outcome of the recent election, you're going to get a lot of people who say, I'm going to get out of the US. But what they're trying to really eliminate is, if you're only surviving, living your life on Social Security, that's what they want to avoid. Because if that's all you are living on, it's going to be impossible to live here, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, Mexico is really cheap, and I can live on $1,000 a month. Well, that's
not anymore.
Not anymore. Everywhere around the world has gotten expensive, and the financial requirements to get into the country continue to go up, because they want to make sure you can afford to be here.
Dan, actually, my partner Dan is actually here at the minute to finish his immigration status. And he actually started in Dallas, which is one of the more difficult places. But if you're from Dallas, they require that you go through there. You're not allowed to go to another area. So he has finished his initial US thing, and now he's here to finish what he needs to do here. But as Harold said, it varies widely as to what consulate you go to. And I have a friend here who is an immigration specialist, and she'll tell people, okay, you only have this amount of money, you need to go to this consulate and start the process there. Now, it might mean that you have to fly there to do it, but it's if they're requiring an X amount and you don't have it, then there will be another consulate will let you in with what you can prove in savings.
Yep. But are they eating the cats? Are they eating the dogs?
No, we prefer gerbils here.
And I just had escargot the other night, so I'm eating the snails.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not eating the pets, really.
Yeah.
But
And Harold has a Richard Gere fetish, so he does other things with the gerbils before he eats them.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Too bad we don't have another podcast to tell about all your fetishes. Yeah. But the one thing I would say to the listeners is, you really need to do your research, and don't take information that you find on Facebook at face value. Contact an immigration attorney, contact a specialist. Just because you see it on Facebook, don't automatically believe it, because that you could get yourself into a lot of trouble and a lot of headaches, because you took something that you thought was true and it really wasn't. And so using sources like your podcast, take it a step beyond and reach out to the immigration attorneys. And so that way you do it right the first time, and you're not spending a lot of money trying to correct the mistakes that you made the first time.
Even online, if you Google this online, it's changed so much recently that you really need to speak to somebody. And I have a lady that I've sent, probably 50 people to in the last week, and she really knows her stuff. But she knows one of the most important things is to know which consulate to go through. If you only can verify X amount of money. But she's excellent.
Got it. So for one last piece of advice before we wrap this up, what tip would you give us today that you might not have applied when you first arrived? And what's essential for newcomers to know before making the move?
I think going from a real estate point of view, people keep asking me, what should I bring down and what do I need? And I mean, I always say, unless it's like personal items, family heirlooms or something like that.
Sell everything.
Just sell everything and come down and start anew here. The transportation can be expensive. Everything has to be documented and itemized, and especially electronics. It was very different. Maybe 7 years ago, it was very different because the price of electronics was very expensive here. So a TV that you could have got in the US at $1,000 was maybe $3,500 here. Now that's because we have Costco, Walmart, Amazon, everything. A lot of the prices have evened up. So I say you don't need to spend $15,000 to get $4,000 worth of products here.
Good advice.
And the only other advice that I would give people is keep your expectations of Mexico. If you're trying to recreate what you have in the US or Canada, you're going to be a little disappointed. You also have to remember you are in Mexico, you are in another country, and the fact there's a whole different culture here. Respect the culture. And I just say, leave your baggage, north of the border and embrace the life that you find out why you want to come here. Is it the fact that you want to retire here and you want to embrace the culture? Things are not going to be the same as it was in the States. And if you expect that, you're going to be really frustrated. You just have to remember you're on Mexico time and just get used to the phrase mañana. Mañana. Yes, and because that will just help lower your stress level, because it's stressful to move from another country to someplace you've never known. So just keep yourself calm and do your research. That would be the best advice, is do your research.
Because I know you're going to wrap it up soon, but sort of maybe a final comment. There are very, very few people who leave here because they don't like it. That's very rare. They move. A lot of people move. The number one reason is for grandchildren, because they want to go back and be with their grandchildren and so on. And even though I'm in real estate, I say, keep your house here. When your grandkids get to 13, 14, they don't want to be bothered with granny and granda anymore. They're with their friends.
Exactly.
So just keep it and come back here. And the other thing is health. And not because they can't get what they need here. It's just if somebody has something terminal, they want to go back to be with their family for their last few. But it's very rare that people leave here because they just don't like it.
Got it. All right, gentlemen. Steve, where could our audience find you if they're looking to buy some property? Or dance with you at Lucky Bar?
Well, that's a completely different website.
I thought that was your OnlyFans site.
Honestly, the best form of communication here is WhatsApp. WhatsApp is king in Mexico. I give out my email, but with WhatsApp, you can send longer video footages of properties and so on. My WhatsApp is +52 333 956 7572. And that really is the best way to communicate.
How long did it take you to remember that?
Oh, no, that's ingrained in my mind for 17 years.
Harold, I'm surprised he knows what WhatsApp is.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm really good on WhatsApp. I'm brilliant on there.
Yeah, he's good at Grindr and good at WhatsApp.
Okay.
Oh, Grindr is so last decade.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why you've got your OnlyFans page now. So.
Yeah, that got big.
Besides, like my stomach.
No, besides anything else.
Well, you know what? People will pay for anything, even large stomachs.
Yeah, there's a market for big girls now.
And Harold, don't you have a place that people rent?
Yeah, I have my Airbnbs called In Ajijic, and they can find me at inajijic.com, which is INN, Ajijic, AJIJIC.com. And then on WhatsApp, they can call me at +1 760 218 8209.
I got your number. Steve, I got your WhatsApp
number.
Steve, I got your WhatsApp number too. I'll be like texting, who is this? Or I'll put my sexy voice. No, there's no.
What are you wearing,
voice.
Mark?
That's what Steve would ask me. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I know, Harold, you've had patience of a saint.
What's he trying to say?
Yeah, I'm just
talking
trying to
about
say,
you.
Steve, is a little bit difficult with his schedule and his scheduling.
Yeah. He's very busy creating community and selling real estate here. So
he is. I think he created all of Ajijic, actually.
I told him if he missed this podcast, I was going to take away his vodka and his shoes.
He did.
And no wonder why he showed up.
Yeah, he knows how to threaten me.
And he was a few minutes early. Well,
I was. Yeah. Well, I was until I learned how to try and set everything up and do a camera thing.
But anyway,
that thingy.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
He loves thingies.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it.
It was great to do a return visit.
Yes. 2 years has passed. It's gone by so quick.
Yeah. It has.
And I've got prettier.
Yeah, you certainly have.
Thanks to the Mexican plastic surgery system.
Just have to work on more lipo for that stomach.
Oh, God.
All right. Thanks a million. We both appreciate it.
Yes. All right, gents. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and consider making a donation by clicking the coffee cup on any page at www.wheredogaysretire.com. Each cup of coffee that you buy costs $5 and goes towards helping us continue the podcast. Thank you for your continued support.